Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Excuse me. Let me add my word of welcome to all of you, and my thanks to our partners, to the panelists, and to you as participants. And a special thanks to Evo for his strong address and words about the business community. Now, why do we have a business day here at this COP? Well, the concerns for sustainable development in general and climate change in particular are at the tipping point in society. And this is also very much true for the business community. There is a realization, and Evo was clearly stressing that climate change can only be resolved in a constructive cooperation between all parts of society, in particular between governments and business. But when it comes to intergovernmental negotiations, like here at COP 13, we are still, as business, a side event, or a luncheon speech, or a cocktail. And this does not match, in my view, the strong interest that governments are expressing today for the active cooperation and support from business to find the solutions to climate change. So I saw the need to do what we did 5 years ago in Johannesburg in 2002 at the World Summit on Sustainable Development, to organize a dedicated business day where we can, as business, bring our views across in a structured way and think them through in dialogue with other parts of society. And like in Johannesburg, I invited ICC to be our organizing partner for this. And here we are today. We have about 300 participants. We have a very impressive list of panelists. We have 10 partners that you've seen on the screens and have stands outside. So we have a full day that we now must make the best use of. And what's the context for what we are talking about here today? It is obvious that we need to move toward a low-carbon economy to address climate change. The climate science that IPCC has presented is clear. It requires both mitigation of emissions and adaptation to the consequences. There is an urgency to act and define a new global policy framework post-2012 that can guide the investments in technology and infrastructure. There's a complex context for our actions, and it involves difficult balancing between competing societal goals. We have to clearly recognize that. Now, the role of business in society is to provide in an efficient way goods and services that people want and can afford. And we are fulfilling this in a way that minimizes resource use and pollution, because it makes perfect business sense. That reduces costs and it reduces risks. We are, as the private sector, the major source of capital, innovation, technology, and investments that can transform the global energy system. We are making investments that will impact the climate issue for a long time into the future, 20, 30, 50 years, or sometimes even more. And if we should be able to do the right thing, we need clarity on the policy framework within which we do our business. If we look at the role of governments, their role is to decide on the difficult trade-offs in society between these competing societal interests. And I think it is fair to say that at this point in time, governments still have some way to go to fulfill the societal role. And we hope that this COP will change that, and that governments will start serious negotiations along the lines that Evo has outlined to complete the new climate change regime before the end of 2009. We cannot really continue this you first mentality that has been there now at a number of COPs, where everyone is waiting for the other one to move. We need leadership and action by the leading countries. And we have as business a very strong interest that Bali succeeds. Let me express a special thanks to the very great cooperation we have with Evo and his colleagues and the work that they are doing, and strongly supportive of what we're trying to achieve. And we also have another partner that will follow me here as a keynote speaker, Mr. Tanaka from IEA, and they play a very important role as a governmental think tank, and we very much appreciate the openness towards business that IEA is showing. A few months ago, IEA organized the first brainstorming with business and the board of IEA, consisting of close to 30 energy ministers. And Mr. Tanaka set aside half a day, including a luncheon, where we were 10 business people brainstorming with the energy ministers at the IEA what is needed to move forward on these issues. So we very much appreciate that. Now, technology is a key element of the solutions to what we're talking about here. And technology and policies go hand in hand. The Brits would say that we need horses for courses, policies that are adapted to the respective type of technologies we want to see developed and deployed. There is already a lot of existing technologies that have a significant potential to reduce emissions, but they are not deployed because there are not enabling policies for those particular situations. And I think it is important that we recognize that policies can be of very many types. It can be simplifying red tape for planning and permitting for nuclear and big hydro, if we want that to play a bigger role. If we need energy efficiency, we need standards for appliances and cars. If we want to see energy efficiency in buildings, we need to look at the building codes. If we want to see a fast market penetration of renewables to get them to scale and reduce cost, we need subsidies because in most cases those renewables are not profitable at this point in time. If we want to see complex technologies being developed, and Evo mentioned carbon capture and storage, or a next generation of nuclear, we need a sharing of R&D costs. What we also need for these type of technologies are risk guarantees. I think it is important to stress that, in my view, carbon capture and storage will not happen on pure commercial terms. There is not only the need to share R&D costs, there has to be risk guarantees from governments to cap the long-term risk. Companies cannot take that commercial risk on their own. We can take some of the risk, but we cannot take a 200-year-long risk of what can happen when you put CO2 down in the ground. That has to be a sovereign risk covered by governments. Let me also say a few words about technology transfer, or as I prefer to call it, technology cooperation. I thought we had managed actually in Rio 15 years ago to change the word from technology transfer to cooperation. I was chair of the task force from business that I thought achieved that, but it's back as a word now. And in the efforts to find a way to engage the developing countries in global climate, in a global climate agreement, there has been the proposal that industrialized countries should buy intellectual property rights and transfer this to the developing countries. And the HIV/AIDS and Montreal Protocol actions have been used as examples. And in my view, these examples are not applicable to climate change. We don't want, as the private sector, to divest our technologies. We want investment opportunities and utilize our technologies. And even if we were willing to sell technology, then if you look at the sheer scale of technology needs for climate change, this would be prohibitive in monetary terms. It cannot be done. We have instead to find the way in which we can work together. What governments can do is to facilitate and create the policy framework that encourages the private sector to engage in technology cooperation and to work with our partners in developing countries and invest in clean energy and low cost.